Identify risk is the second process of project risk management knowledge area, and it belongs to planning process group. In this session, you will learn what identify risks means, key inputs, tools and technique, and outputs of identify risk process. 3. Brainstorming, Delphi technique, and interviewing. 4. Root cause analysis. 5. Checklist and assumption analysis. 6. Diagramming techniques. 7. SWOT analysis. You will be working on 2 points under this process. 1. Which risks might affect the project? 2. What are their characteristics? Please note that identify risk is an iterative process and continues throughout the project. Let's have a glance over inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. Inputs are 1. Risk management plan. 2. Activity cost estimates. 3. Activity duration estimates. 4. Scope baseline. 5. Stakeholder register. 6. Cost management plan. 7. Schedule management plan. 8. Quality management plan. 9. Project documents. 10. Enterprise environmental factors. 11. Organizational process assets. Tools and techniques are 1. Documentation reviews. 2. Information gathering techniques. 3. Checklist analysis. 4. Assumption analysis. 5. Diagramming techniques. 6. SWOT analysis. 7. Expert judgment. We will discuss each tool and techniques in more details in the coming slides. Documentation reviews is the first tool and technique of this process. The plans which are reviewed for assumptions are project charter, scope statements requirement, some supplementary plans such as staffing plans. Examining the WBS will enable you to consider what could go wrong and what risks could arise in each of the WBS work packages. It is usually good practice to start with. Other documents which need reviews are previous contracts, product performance specification, warranties, service procedures, manuals. The quality of plans as well as consistency between those plans and the project requirement and assumptions can be indicators of risk in the project. Weak spot of many organizations is that they do not have thorough reviews at detail level by people that know all details. Information gathering technique is the second tool and technique of the process. 4 techniques comes under this process. 1. Brainstorming. 2. Delphi techniques. 3. Interviewing. for root cause analysis. Brainstorming is a powerful tool to identify risk. It is typically done in three phases. Phase 1, green light. Ensure everyone contributes. Do not pass any judgment. Phase 2, clarification. Establish common understanding of all items. Phase 3, consolidation. Identify duplicate items and agree on best meaning of the items. It is probably the most frequently used information gathering technique. In order to get a range of possible risks, it is important to choose right mix of participants. They should include people from different disciplines and someone independent of the project. A trusted facilitator should encourage everyone to contribute. He should be fast and energetic. All ideas are posted, and there is no discussion about the ideas until after the green light phase has ended. Delphi technique. Pimbock describes the Delphi technique as a way to reach a consensus of experts. Consensus is generally achieved within few series of rounds. No one individual has the ability of exerting undue influence. How do we do it? 1. Questionnaires are sent to experts. 2. Responses are recirculated among experts. 3. A series of rounds is done to reach a consensus of experts. What principle works behind Delphi technique? The principle which works behind is facts repeat itself. What are the advantages of Delphi technique? Bias is minimum. And what are the disadvantages? Group members cannot interact. Interviewing is another information gathering technique. It may be face to face on one basis, and it may be with the focus group. It may be conducted remotely on phone and through written surveys. It may be formal and also informal. Root cause analysis is the fourth information gathering technique. This is an inquiry into the essential causes of a project risk. This also allows grouping of risk by causes. Cause and effect diagram, also referred to as fishbone diagram or Ishikawa diagram, are used to illustrate how various factors might be linked to potentially complex problems. They are used to discover all of the true or actionable causes that result into actionable effect. Checklist is the third tool and technique of the identify risk process. Risk identification checklists are developed from 1. Lesson learned reviews. 2. Examination of past projects for 1. Good and bad practices. 2. Industry-related experience. 3. Technology-related experience. The lowest level of risk breakdown structure RBS can also be used as a checklist. There is a word of caution. People do not go out of checklist. And also, risk may not be present in all default areas. It is therefore necessary that the team should explore items that do not fall into it. And checklists should be reviewed near project closure to include new ones. Assumption analysis is the fourth tool and technique of identify risk process. This tool evaluates the validity and impact from possible errors of assumptions. Assumptions are documented in following plans: project charter, scope statements requirement, some other plans such as staffing plans. Assumption analysis identify risk to the project from inaccuracy, inconsistency, and incompleteness. How important is analyzing assumptions? It will be revealed in this cartoon. My sweetheart was squinting while reading the menu the other day. I commented. I will not read this cartoon. You have to read it yourself. Diagramming techniques. This is the fifth tool and technique of identify risk process. Pimbock mentions three types of diagramming techniques. 1. Cause and effect diagram. 2. System or process flow chart. 3. Influence diagrams. Cause and effect diagram. Causes are arranged according to their levels of importance or details, resulting in a depiction of relationship and hierarchy of events. This process can help you search for root causes of composite risk events leading to common impacts such as schedule delays or cost overruns. System and process flowcharts. These show various elements of a system relationship and the mechanism of causation. Influence diagrams. These are graphical representation of situations showing causal influences, time ordering of events, and other relationship among variables and outcomes. In this influence diagram, size of the market share, advertising and production costs all impact profit margins. SWOT analysis. This is the sixth tool and technique of identify risk process. A scan of the internal and external environment is an important part of the strategic planning process. Factors internal to the organization usually can be classified as strengths or weaknesses, and factors external to the firm can be classified as opportunities or threats. This technique is especially useful on projects where there are multiple external dependencies and inordinate amount of influence from external factors. Expert judgment. It is the seventh tool and technique of identify risk process. It includes experts having relevant experience of similar projects. Identify risk outputs. The only output of identify risk process is risk register. This will have one list of identified risk, two list of potential responses which will be useful in planned risk response process. In addition to the list of risks, the root cause of risk will also be there. This will help in future risk identification. Now listen to a conversation at Deep Deck.
I find much similarity between brainstorming and Delphi technique. What is the real difference?
In brainstorming, you and your team sit together and think about risk, while in Delphi you ask experts who may not be your team member. These experts give their opinion anonymously.
Now a sample question of PMP exam for this session.